Hey Colts, this is Mrs. Hladun. I hope that you had a really wonderful spring break. I know that I did. I did a lot of relaxing and spending time with my boys and cooking and watching TV and reading books. Hopefully you did some of the same. Anyways, today I am here with my little guy Benjamin. These are his jammies right here. And we're going to read a story to you called Amazing Grace. This story is by Mary Hoffman and was illustrated by Carolyn Binch. Okay, Ben, you ready? I'm going to need your help so the pages don't get too shiny. Amazing Grace. Grace was a girl who loved stories. She didn't mind if they were read to her or told to her or made up in her own head. She didn't care if they were from books or movies or out of Nana's long memory. Grace just loved stories. And after she had heard them, and sometimes while they were still going on, Grace would act them out, and she always gave herself the most exciting part. Grace went into battle as Joan of Arc and wove a wicked web as Anansi the spider. She hid inside the wooden horses at the gate, on the side of the wooden horse at the gate of Troy. She went exploring for lost kingdoms. She sailed the seven seas with a peg leg and a parrot. She was Aladdin rubbing his magic lamp to make the genie appear, and Mowgli in the backyard jungle. Most of all, Grace loved to act out adventure stories and fairy tales. When there was no one else around, Grace played all the parts herself. She set out to seek her fortune with no companion but her trusty cat and found the city with streets paved in gold. Sometimes she could get Ma and Nana to join in when they weren't too busy. Then she was Dr. Grace and their lives were in her hands. It looks, Ben, like she tried to wrap her mom's leg and her mom's head in toilet paper, like a doctor. And she's checking her Nana's heart, I think, with a brush. It's very clever. One day, Grace's teacher said they would do the play Peter Pan. Grace knew who she wanted to be. When she raised her hand, Raj said, "You can't be Peter, that's a boy's name." But Grace kept her hand up. "You can't be Peter Pan," whispered Natalie. "He isn't black." But Grace kept her hand up. "All right," said the teacher. "Lots of you want to be Peter Pan, so we'll have auditions next week to choose parts." She gave them words to learn. Okay, Ben, I need you to hold the pages because my arm's tired. When Grace got home, she seemed sad. "What's the matter?" asked Ma. "Raj said I couldn't be Peter Pan because I'm a girl." "Well, that just shows what Raj knows," said Ma. "A girl can be Peter Pan if she wants to." Grace cheered up and then later remembered something else. "Natalie says I can't be Peter Pan because I'm black," she said. Ma looked angry, but before she could speak, Nana said, "It seems Natalie is another one who doesn't know nothing. You can be anything you want, Grace, if you put your mind to it." On Sunday, Nana told Grace they were going out. In the afternoon, they caught a bus and train into town. Nana took Grace to a grand theater. The sign outside read, "Rosalie Wilkins and Romeo and Juliet," in sparkling lights. "Are we going to the ballet, Nana?" asked Grace. "We are, honey, but first I want you to look at this picture." Grace looked up and saw a beautiful young ballerina in a tutu. Above the dancer it said, "Stunning New Juliet." Ben, have you ever been to the ballet? What have you seen at the ballet?
Nutcracker, that's the only.
The Nutcracker, that's the only one? Yeah.
Doesn't make us see it.
It's so good.
No, it's not.
It's one of my favorites.
I like it.
Ben says he doesn't like it and that it's boring, but I'll tell you that when Ben goes to the ballet with his mom to go see the Nutcracker, he sits on the edge of his seat. So he'll tell you he doesn't like it,
don't.
but secretly I think he does.
No, I don't.
The music's really good.
I just can't eat.
Oh, he doesn't like it because he can't eat in the theater. Okay, here we go. "That one is little Rosalie from back home in Trinidad," said Nana. "Her granny and me, we grew up together on the island. She's always asking me, do I want tickets to see her Rosalie dance? So this time I said yes." After the ballet, Grace played the part of Juliet, dancing around her room and in her imaginary tutu. "I can be anything I want," she thought. Doesn't she look happy? On Monday, the class met for the audition to choose who was best for each part. When it was Grace's turn, she knew exactly what to do and all the words to say. She had been Peter Pan all weekend. She took a deep breath and imagined herself flying. When it was time to vote, the class chose Raj to be Captain Hook and Natalie to be Wendy. There was no doubt who would be Peter Pan. Everyone voted for Grace. "You were fantastic," whispered Natalie.
Who's Natalie?
Her friend. The play was a big success, and Grace was an amazing Peter Pan. After it was all over, she said, "I feel like I could fly all the way home." "You probably could," said Ma. "Yes," said Nana. "If Grace put her mind to it, she can do anything she wants." The end. So this part is about like how the author wrote the story. And so I'll read this little part to you. So it says, how it all began. Once there was a little girl who loved stories. As I wrote that in 1989, I had just been for a swim and was far away from phone calls or rings at the doorbell or the demands of my 3 daughters, aged 7 to 12. I had no idea this would lead to a series of books. It was one of the most momentous beginnings ever, but of course I didn't know it. In 2016, Amazing Grace will be 25 years old, and yet Grace herself remains with her gappy smile somewhere around 6 or 7. At her age, I loved stories best of everything, and I still do. I have made my career writing them, but long before that happened, I was stories as a vacuum cleaner is to dust. And like Grace, as soon as I heard them, I wanted to act them out. My long-suffering family, particularly my sister Phyllis, had taken all the other parts while I starred as Cinderella or Aladdin or Beauty. One thing was different. I had no grandmother and no grandfather either. I made up this misfortune by collecting older people throughout my childhood. Now I am a grandmother myself, and I can't wait to tell stories to my grandbabies. If Amazing Grace has a message, which I'm often asked about, it's that all stories are for all people. I believe this from the bottom of my heart. May you find the right stories for you, and please pass them on. The more stories everyone knows, the more likely they are to be kinder, friendlier, and more accepting of others. That's the amazing thing about stories. And this is signed by Mary Hoffman. And Mary Hoffman is the author of the story.